big news this week is the departure of BMW and Audi, and that Formula E is in its own crisis, which some people are already batting away. But really and truly, for me, after a day or two to let this information sink in, for me, Formula E could be plunging into a really dark place. Joining me, as always, is the wonderful Edward Hunter and Jack Pickering. Evening, boys.
Good evening.
It's good to have someone wonderful in a crisis, isn't it, Jack?
Yes, it is. It's good to have someone wonderful in a crisis because we need that right now. Because, oh my God, Formula E, like, I said in my intro, like, I've had a day or two now to let this sink in, Pico. Okay, I've had a day or two to let this sink in. And I really think that this is not a good look for Formula E. And it shows things that we've been talking about, niggling problems, simmering that I think we've spoken about, when are they going to develop the car more? What's the potential of the roadmap? And then for BMW to come out and say that it's like we've exhausted all our options, we can't really do much more. Going into Gen 3, it doesn't look like much is going to change. And we've been questioning this roadmap and what's been going on with Formula E and what the future holds. And for BMW to come out and say that when a championship should be pioneering electric cars, it's quite damning.
Yeah, well, it came, I think, as it came as a massive shock to me. I wasn't really expecting to see that coming out the other night. Yeah, they are two big manufacturers in Formula E. They are two of really the first that really got on board with this. So yeah, it is a massive shock to see them go. I'd say Audi less so than BMW because BMW I think are still relatively up there, whereas Audi they aren't there or thereabouts at the moment. But yeah, it was still a shock to see these teams go. I think we'll expect the teams that actually run it. Aside from the factory effort, they're still going to stay in there. But yeah, Formula E is losing two of its manufacturers. Yes, we're only down to 6 now. What are we going to do with only 6 manufacturers on the grid? We should be fine for the moment. However, the fact that these two were in 48 hours of each other is a little bit scary. That both of them they're not affiliated in any way. If it was Audi and Porsche, they're both part of the Volkswagen group, so it would have been a bit less of a surprise to see the latter go. But yeah, with the fact that both these manufacturers decided to go, it could be really damning for Formula E, 100%.
So Ed, what I want you to talk about is the development roadmap, okay, and what your thoughts are on this. And is Formula E going too slow? Because in terms of what they can do, because again, there's still no battery development. And I think, honestly, as a car manufacturer, what is holding back the electric car is the battery. And it's, the most, Alejandro Agag said it himself. The most important part of the electric powertrain is the battery. Yet Formula E teams can't go anywhere near it. Those manufacturers want to jump at a battery. They would love to just have a go at it and make one, and then hopefully that could boom the electric market. But that has been that has been tendered out for other people. We've got Williams doing it now, which isn't even a car manufacturer. We had McLaren before that. At least made some sense that McLaren were doing it. So, what do you think about the roadmap? And do you think Formula E is moving too slowly at this precise moment?
Well, on Williams making it, I think it does make sense from Formula E's point of view to go back to Williams because they worked with them before on the Gen 1 battery, and Williams they have worked on 4 other manufacturers like Jaguar. They remember that Williams Advanced Engineering did the flywheel for Audi's hybrid Le Mans car back in the day, and so they do have a lot of experience with advanced engineering. So I don't think that's completely as left field as you make it sound. But yeah, going back to the battery, I think one of the things that Gag was sort of talking about was in recent years really was going towards sort of recharging, sort of wireless charging, and I wonder if maybe they felt that maybe BMW, particularly the way they specifically outlined the tech issues, whether they felt it wasn't happening fast enough, or perhaps they wanted something a little bit different, like maybe perhaps replaceable batteries rather than rechargeable ones. Although we know that brings with it its own issues. Interesting, I thought that Audi mentioned that they were going to Dakar and they were going to have an all-electric entry at Dakar, which they've never competed in Dakar before, but they're going to use the motors from the current Formula E car, the Season 7 one, which is the first one that Audi produced in-house. I think Schaeffler were making it before. So yeah, it's interesting. At the moment, Audi have got everything in-house. They have one final season in Formula E, and then they switched to Dakar, and of course going back to Le Mans, which in a way both of those sort of make sense. Whereas I think BMW, more worryingly, haven't announced what they're going to do instead of Formula E. It seems they're just going to focus on their road car side of things. So yeah, it is a little bit worrying. I think especially the timing so close together wasn't great. Andretti seemed very shocked actually by BMW pulling out so soon. So Roger Gurris, in interviews with him that I've read, he sounded a little bit kind of, oh, we knew they were considering it. We didn't think it would be so soon that we get that announcement. And so they're basically saying, well, we're either going to continue with BMW in Season 8 because the powertrain's homologated for the next 2 seasons, or we're going to have to go for a custom of a different powertrain from a different manufacturer. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out now.
So what I want to just clarify before we move on is that Andretti, the team entry for BMW will still be on the grid next season. So technically Maximilian Gunther and Jake Dennis could still be driving next season per se. I know they're both BMW drivers, but let's just, for argument's sake, they could still be there because it'd be the Andretti team or whoever Andretti partner with next season. Whereas Audi, I think, are completely out the window. That spot is available, so there will be a gap on the grid for someone to jump into. But it's back like the Sauber. When BMW hilariously was at Sauber and they left, and then the team became Sauber. So it's exactly the same with BMW as that situation.